Hey everyone, Hannah Levin here with Heartfelt Wellbeing, and I'm back with my friend Whitney, and we are excited to share part two of the brain health series, our two-part series that we're doing here. So, welcome, Whitney. Glad to have you back here.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate being here with you all.
Yeah. Well, I know this community has really enjoyed part one that we did. And if you're watching this part two and have not watched part one, I really encourage you to go back and watch that so that this will make more sense to you. So, we had given you all the invitation to take this brain quiz, and a bunch of you did that. So, today we're going to get into learning a little bit more about what those results mean. And Whitney, you wanted to start with looking at this graphic of the brain, right? Shall we
Yeah, I'd like to give
bring
it a
that up?
little explanation here so you guys get a visual of what's going on, because we can talk about the brain, but until we really see what's going on, it's kind of hard to really understand what's happening. So,
Yeah. So let me see if I can pull this up here.
so what this poster is, so I'll pop it up in just a minute, is we'll see what a normal brain looks like, or a healthy brain. Which is on the top there. And can you see my pointer or no? You can't see mine, right? Because this is on the
Mm-mm.
screen. Okay.
It's
So
this.
the top two,
Can you
the
see mine?
no. I
No.
mean, I can see the
Oh,
post.
wait, here, if I do it on here, can you see it?
Yes, there we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So the one on the left is if you were to take a SPECT scan, which takes a look at blood flow in the brain. So what we're looking at when we're looking at blood flow is there a normal amount of blood flow to all areas of the brain? That's always what we're looking for. That is an optimized brain. And decisions that we make, lack of nutrients, lack of food, exercise, everything that we do throughout the day is either going to increase blood flow in different areas of the brain, or it's going to decrease blood flow. So we really want good, normal blood flow. There can be too much blood flow, but we want good, normal blood flow throughout the brain to have our brain be optimized and to really utilize all aspects of our brain. And so that first brain on the left-hand side is if you were to take a picture from the top down. And what we're looking at there, the colors don't mean anything, but what we're looking at is is each side symmetrical? Do they look alike? We want as few bumps as possible. We want it to be smooth as much as possible. And then the one to the right of that, the healthy underside, that picture is if you were to take a camera and go from underneath your jaw and look upward at your brain. And the top of that picture, where it's kind of like a nice violet color, that's where our prefrontal cortex is. This is our executive manager of our brain. And then the bottom, that light blue, is our cerebellum part of the brain as well. And so again, when we're looking at this picture, what we're wanting to see is that both sides look alike, that they look similar, that there hasn't been an injury, a physical injury or an emotional injury on one side of the brain. And that, that would be different than the other side. And we're looking for smoothness. So as you can see, let's see, we'll go clockwise. So we'll go down to the 4 years of marijuana. So after 4 years of marijuana, it looks like somebody has holes in their brain. I can assure you they do not have holes in their brain. But what that looks like, where you see what looks like holes, is actually there's no blood flow there. There's very little blood flow in that area. And what that means is the person who has been smoking marijuana for 4 years on a regular basis and who is at age 17 has less access to parts of their brain. So you can see up at the top, their prefrontal cortex. You can see there's two little holes up there. Sorry, go back to the 4 years of marijuana brain.
Oh, Oh,
and
here's the
the
two holes.
brain. Yeah. So that's their prefrontal cortex. So not only is that prefrontal cortex not developed because that doesn't develop until age 30, but they also have even less ability to have an executive manager manage their lives. And so they're not going to be making really good decisions. They don't have a really good stop measurement in their brain to help them to not jump out of airplanes without a parachute or, things like that. Um, and then if you look at the 4 years of smoking, and this is just plain old nicotine, this is age 22. Again, you can see here the cerebellum is kind of swollen and not looking really well, the light blue area. And then there's also a lot of holes in that area as well. And so again, that's just 4 years of smoking. Then you go down to age 38. That's 6 years of opiate use. And so as you know, we have a really hard problem in the United States with opiates, with painkillers, and that actually changes your ability to function, your brain's ability to function. And you can look at the cocaine, the age 22, 4 years of cocaine. If you compare that to the healthy brain at the top left, it's a little alarming to look at, that they just don't have full access to their brain. And then you can see 10 years of alcohol, age 45. Alcohol stays in your brain for 48 hours. It will actually affect your decision-making abilities if you have any alcohol in your body brain. And you can see, like, it's not quite, but it's almost, it rivals the 4 years of cocaine. Everybody thinks alcohol is fine. Everybody thinks marijuana is fine. These things are damaging our brains. And then you can take a look at the 3 years of meth in their age 28. And so I just wanted to show you the visual, because every decision that you're making, whether it's food or exercise or relationships or jobs or, every decision that you're making throughout the day is either going to increase your blood flow in your brain or it's going to decrease it. And it's either going to optimize your brain for this moment, as well as for tomorrow and for 5 years from now and from 50 years from now, or it's going to detract from that. So you can either take really good care of your vitality and energy now, that includes your brain, or you can pay the consequences, in the years to come, with disease and illness and that kind of thing. So everything that you do is really important. So there's a lot to cover, and I'm just going to kind of like fire hose this information out, because I want to get as much out as I can. And people are welcome to write in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer questions.
Stephanie says, this is so interesting.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. So for all brains, just a couple just basics for if you have a brain, if you are alive and breathing, here are some things for everybody. Everybody needs good fish oil, good quality fish oil. We do not have enough good fats in our diet. And the type of fish oil will be shown in your brain health assessment profile. So take a look at that. Vitamin D levels. Vitamin D level is the lab ranges from 30 to 100 ng/ml is the measurement. And what that means is that in Western medicine, their thought is if somebody's level is at 30, that they can operate at the same level as if somebody's is 100. And what they have found, functional medicine is kind of is the optimal type of medicine that is taking a look at how can we run, not just like Western medicine looks at how can we barely operate. Functional medicine looks at how can we optimally operate. And so functional medicine says, and Dr. Amen has done studies as well, who does the brain scans. And what they have found is that you really want to be between 60 to 80. Now, I will tell you that your doctor, if it shows 30, because of their parameters and what they're giving, they will say, if you're 30, that's enough. It is not enough. You need to get up to 60 to 80. You can have too much vitamin D. So you need to work with your doctor and say, look, I'd really like to get it up. What would that dosage be? So that's really important. The other thing is anytime you can do any type of coordination exercises like dance, ping pong is one of the best exercises you can do for your brain. It gets the blood flowing everywhere. You're looking at all sorts of different, left, right, and, all sorts of different things. So tennis, pickleball, anything like that. Coordination exercises. And as far as protein and carbohydrates, take a look at your brain health assessment to see what the ratio is for those, for the carbs and for the protein. So that's just a quick, basic for everybody. So we'll talk about the brains. So there's 16 brain types in this brain health assessment that you all took. And if you look at the types number 1 through 5, and that's the ones that we're going to talk about, those are the different parts of the brain. And then types 6 through 16 are actually a combination of 2 or 3 of the first 5 types. So I'll keep saying that over and over, so that makes sense. So the first type is what's called the first brain type, type 1, is called a balanced brain. And what this is that this type of brain is this type of person is typically flexible. They can be focused, they're adaptable, they're resilient. When the pandemic hit, these type of people were like, okay, this is a challenge, and we're going to see what we need to do to be able to adapt to the challenge. So they were able to be adaptable and flexible. I'm not saying they liked it, but they were able to be adaptable. And that able to be adaptable is part of resiliency, which is part of your immune system, which is part of your health. So that's really important. So these are typically the steady people. They can handle things as they come. They will make good decisions. They can move through things. They're typically easier to be in relationship with people, with others. So the second brain type, and I'm going over these super quickly, just to kind of give an overview. So the second type are the impulsive type. And what this means is that these people tend to be spontaneous and risk-taking and creative, out-of-the-box thinkers. They tend to be restless. They need to be interested, to be focused. They typically have a little less blood flow in their prefrontal cortex, in their executive manager, and they tend to need to find excitement or conflict in order they're trying to actually get blood in that part of their brain. So they're the ones that are going to be the rock climbers and the motorcycle drivers and the jumping out of airplanes, the skydivers and all of that. These are your fabulously creative types. They see things in the world in a very different way because they don't have that stop mechanism as much. And there's different, there's a range, within this. So they are the ones who make the world fun and exciting. They're your adventurous types. So we want these types. We want all these brain types. Every single brain type has wonderful gifts to bring to the world. And sometimes there can be internal struggles depending on the brain type. And so each one has its own, I hate to say pro and con, but each one has its gift and its challenge. So brain types tend to find solutions to old problems because they come in with a different perspective. And so that's really one of the beautiful benefits of this type 2. So a type 3 brain type is one that is overfocused. They can come in and they will be persistent and relentless. They will be strong-willed. They like things in a certain way. They can get stuck on thoughts or emotions. They may hold on to hurts and have a tendency to see what's wrong with themselves and others. But these are the people, these are the workhorses of the world. These are the ones that get stuff done. They're the ones that can finish a project because they're going to see it and they are going to plow through no matter what. They are you want these type of people on your team. They can be a little challenging to work with at times because they're just hardcore driven. But they are the ones that seek the injustices in the world, and they will not only think about it, but they will go after a solution and follow it through. So these are the change makers in the world. So this is a beautiful brain type to have. And when one has this brain type that can tend to get stuck on emotions or thoughts, this that can enhance somebody who's already having, say, like anxiety or depression or sadness. So if you have this part of your brain that is hyperactive, that's called the cingulate gyrus, it can actually make some of the other brain types more intense. So because it's overfocused, it's going to be overfocused on a task, it's going to be overfocused on an emotion, it's going to be overfocused on a thought. And then there's the brain type 4, which is the sad brain. And so these are our sensitive, deep feeling, can struggle with moods, super empathetic. They can tend to be more pessimistic because they just feel everything. And they are the ones in the world, they are our compassionate souls. They are our Mother Teresas. They are our, they're the ones that come out with their arms open and go, oh my God, let me hold you. Let me help you. What can I do for you? So even though the brain type 4 is named sad, I think it's, I don't like that, that brain type name, because it's really more about somebody who's compassionate and feeling and sensitive. They are the ones who will make the difference in the world as well, because they will see all the injustices and they will want to act on that. They're going to be your social justice changers. They really know what somebody else is feeling. And right now in this world and this time, we desperately need these people, because we will not get through this as a human race without this brain type, without this type of person. We have to have these people in the world. So the question is not so much how can we embrace them, but the question is, are they suffering within themselves that they get stuck? And so that's what optimizing your brain is keeping that part of your brain active while at the same time not suffering so much, not feeling so much of the pain of people and the earth and the animals, but being able to enact on that compassion as well. And then the brain type 5 is your anxious people. And so they are the doers in the world. Their idol in their body is running all the time. They are go, 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 go. They probably have trouble sleeping. They are typically prepared and cautious. They're super motivated. These are your workaholics. They can be reserved because their mind is so busy. They can have difficulty relaxing, and they're just super, super motivated. They are the doers in the world. They're also workhorses in the world. And they're the ones you want on your projects. You want them on your team. They will get it done. They will think of all the potential things that can go wrong, and they'll have a plan for every single thing that could go wrong. Wonderful brains, wonderful, wonderful brains. So they will have the contingency plans that we haven't even thought of, that the other brain types have not even thought of. So, so that was just a really quick um, showing of kind of what the different brain types are. So those first five that we talked about, I am sure as I talked and shared that you all saw each. You were like, oh, I'm a little bit of this and I'm a little bit of that, and oh, I'm not so much that, but I am a little bit of this. And so probably most people are anywhere from type 6 through 16 because you're a combination of 2 or 3 of those first brain types. So how and what to do to optimize, because there's so many different things, there's so many different factors for each of those brains. From your brain health assessment, you will have like a 7-page PDF that will tell you supplements, diet wise, and this doesn't preclude Ayurvedic medicine or Chinese medicine. This is what you can overlay on top of what you are learning Ayurvedic wise and, you know, Chinese medicine wise. And they will tell you the exercise, the type of exercise that your brain needs, because if you are lacking different areas of your brain being on, you need certain exercises to get to those different brain areas. So, okay, there's my fire hose. That was really fast.
I love it. You did a great job. We still have some time. We do have a
Okay, good.
question in the chat too, but I just want to say from listening to that that I see the doshas in there.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So
yes.
we can see these elemental qualities,
Mhm,
like type 2 seems very aligned with Vata, like
mhm,
wanting that adventure and
mhm,
stimulation and spontaneity in their lives. And type 3 seems very aligned with Pitta and
mhm,
being, organized and task oriented and driven. And type 4 seems very aligned with Kapha, like the deep feeling and
mhm,
bringing people together, that like connective, sticky nature.
mhm,
Um, and then type 5 sounds kind of like Vata Pitta. Type
mhm.
1 sounds, I don't know, which is funny because that's what I ended up being. So I'm curious. It's kind of like maybe balanced,
A
but
combination, yeah. It's a
yeah, like
combination.
maybe more tridoshic, or yeah, having
Mhm,
all of those
mhm.
elements, um yeah, more balanced. So I love it when things like that, I'm like, oh,
Just
that's,
they totally overlay, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and I'm sure in Chinese medicine too. So, one of the questions that's in the chat says, when I took my assessment, I was a 1, but I wouldn't say that I was a 1 a few months ago. I'm assuming this number is subject to change. Will you talk about that?
Sure, yes. Well, there's a couple things. One is I would say, I would offer that when you take the brain health assessment on yourself, I would also invite you to have somebody who knows you really well to also take the brain health test with your brain in mind. And then take the two side by side, because we cannot always see our own brain. It's kind of like trying to see what's in the forest when you're the tree. Like you just can't quite see it. So I would invite you to do that. And it can change over time as we start to heal. So I don't know if this is somebody who's in your vitality circle, who's changing their lifestyle or anything like that. But any time that we are working on ourselves and we're evolving beings, that the way that the blood flows in the brain, every decision we make is going to change our blood flow. So yes, the brain types can change. I typically don't see them change like dramatically. I don't see somebody going from like type 15, which is like 3 different types put together, to like a brain type 1. We don't want everybody to be brain type 1. No, 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 no. We won't get anything done. We won't have the creative and the risk taking and the fun, and like we won't have all aspects of life. So this isn't about it's trying to balance your brain for your quality of life. It's trying to optimize your brain for you and your way of being. we don't want to deaden like your life force. So just want to say that as well.
Yeah, I love that. And that really aligns with Ayurveda as well. Like, we're not trying to make all of us equal in Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. We're trying
Right.
to figure out what's our unique recipe of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and like realize our superpowers and live to our fullest potential. And
Yes.
so we're not trying to be other people. And I love that this comes back to resiliency too, because when we are in our healthiest, happiest balance, we are more resilient. And
Mm-hmm.
that means that we are more open to connecting with people and things and experiences that are different from us, so
Right.
that we can have the expansion of what might otherwise, when we're not feeling so resilient, feel really challenging
Right.
to us.
Right.
Yeah. And so we're back to what you said in the first interview too, about doing things that we're not good at,
Right.
right? Or putting ourselves in situations that we're not familiar with, right?
Right. And you want to do that because we have to challenge ourselves to be able to really live and grow. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't like come out of the womb and stop growing. Like that was not that's not the plan, right? I mean, we're constantly growing and evolving and changing, and we can't do that unless we come up against things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah,
just can't.
exactly. Exactly. So that was Susan who asked that first question,
Okay.
who is in the vitality circle. So yeah, from what I'm seeing, like that she from being in the vitality circle and practicing these habits of Ayurveda is now getting this score of 1, but
Mhm.
she can look back in her past and be like, I don't think I was there before. Yeah. So here's another question. I took the assessment and was a brain type 5. When my husband took it for me, I was a brain type 1. Any interpretation or guidance there?
Yeah, so here's the thing. One thing is to just try not to be defensive, right? It's hard to have somebody else assess our brain and not be like, that's not who I am. That's not, they're just noticing characteristics. And so my invitation to you is to say, are you typically a prepared person? Are you typically motivated? Maybe you have a difficult time relaxing. Maybe you have some sleep issues. It's just telling you that the anxiety. So the anxiety parts of the brain are called the basal ganglia, and there's one on either side um, and of our hemispheres. And what that means is that there's a little extra blood flow happening in that area. And so really, like, we don't if you feel comfortable and feel like you have this amazing quality of life and you love yourself and you love your life and you are able to be a beautiful light in this world, then that's the answer. And if you say, oh, well, I may be a little cautious and maybe too prepared sometimes, and that kind of stops me from doing things sometimes. And sometimes I'm afraid to walk out my front door because I don't want to deal with COVID or, whatever it is, like whatever it is. That's where that information comes of like, oh, let me take a look at this. So I would just invite you to take a look at the gifts and the challenges of type 5. The gifts of it is that you're a doer. I mean, that's what type 5s do. um, and you may just not even realize it because you've just always done. And so that's why you answered some questions differently than the way that your husband did. But your husband thought, I don't do things this way. My mind's not busy. I can sit down and just relax, and I can be relaxed for 5 hours and not do anything. And like his thought is just like, I can't even understand what you're doing. So it's more just a perspective that I would invite you to take a look at both the gifts and the challenges with.
Wonderful. This is so juicy. We could really talk a long
For
time
days.
about all of it. But you did a great job putting it into our half-hour slot. I hope everybody is even more curious now. And I really feel like all of these pieces are tools for us to understand how to live into our fullest potential.
Mhm.
And so there's lots of ways to explore through Ayurveda, through Chinese medicine, through brain science, and all of
So many
them
windows.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, have gifts to give us and help us live our happiest, healthiest lives. So thank you, Whitney, for sharing all of this. And again, do you want to share where people can find out more about what you do?
Sure, sure. So I'm my website is brainwiseacupuncturist.com. You've got my name up there on the screen, so you can also Google that. And yeah, so I do teach practitioners the brain science piece, alternative complementary practitioners, as well as I also do groups as well for the public. So
Great. Yeah. So she's an amazing teacher, amazing wisdom to be shared here. So check that out. And for those of you asking for the quiz, I'll post that again with this video. It was posted with session number 1 as well. So thank you, Whitney. So grateful for you sharing your wisdom and your generosity with your time today. And we'll see you soon.
that sounds good. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.